Welcome back to episode 2, where we're going to take a deep dive into two more Era 2 locomotives, but this time we'll look to the industrial scene with the aid of two Hornby Peckett W4 locomotives. The Hornby box gives a little background to both locos featured, but I was not happy to leave it there and set about trying to trace more about them. I'm so glad I did, because there was a lot more to find out. Playing a supporting role in this film, Dean Goods 2516 by Mainline arrived with me in 1987, a member of the famous workhorse introduced between 1883 and 1899. The 2301 class, or Dean Goods, were built by Swindon Works with 260 made. She has a train of empty coal wagons that need filling. The crest on her tender makes her pre-World War I condition. Here we have number 563 Dodo, built in 1893 at the Atlas Engine Works in St George, Bristol, by Peckett Sons, after they had taken over the business established there by Fox Walker and Company in 1880. As you can see, Dodo is an 040 saddle tank listed as W4 by Peckett Sons Limited. Their engines were known for their high quality and durability. Now the Hornby box says that Dodo was made for the Loughor Colliery, Swansea. I'm told by one of my Welsh friends the correct pronunciation is much closer to Lower. While she gets on with the job of shunting the empty wagons brought in by my now elderly mainline, Dean Goods, we'll explore her story in much more depth. I couldn't initially find a colliery named Loughor Colliery or Lower, and thought it was possible that Broadoak Colliery was maybe informally referred to that way due to its location. Broadoak was certainly a big affair, and maybe some of you will have a Broadoak wagon in your collection. On screen now you'll see in maps by Google Earth showing the location, approximately, of Broadoak Colliery. However, records came to light, later confirmed by the members of RMWeb, showing that the Lower Kaiduke Colliery Limited had sunk a pit there in 1888. This suggests that when Dodo was supplied in 1893, she was very likely involved in clearing land and constructing the mine. Infrastructure work that took years before full production began. Attesting to the hard work she did, I've seen Peckett & Sons document showing she was referred to them later for damage to the smoke box and then the cab sides. The colliery was taken over by the Swansea Navigation Collieries in 1939. Thanks to RMWeb member BR2975, more history on Dodo became apparent, confirming that she had been new to Kaiduke Colliery, but by 1928, after 35 years of very hard service, Dodo was either sold or scrapped, a remarkable lifespan for an industrial locomotive. Peckett Colliery was sited about half a mile north of the Great Western Main Line and 1 mile west of Garreton Station. The Peckett Colliery seemingly operated a mineral railway connecting to the Garreton area. The colliery's mineral line was an integral part of the local coal transport system, connecting to the broader rail network at Garreton, which was a key junction for the region's coal trade. Peckett Colliery also operated another Peckett W4 saddle tank number 1054, built in 1906 from new, which was offered for sale in August 1910 and was purchased by the Upper Forest and Worcester Steel and Tin Plate Works, Morriston. Another source says the engine went to Powersland and Mason as number 11, then became Great Western 927. Did Dodo see a similar fate, or was she scrapped? What do you think? Has anyone more information on her? Now, before we move on to the next Peckett loco, here is a Great Western treat for you all. After all, Dodo's area of operation was within the Great Western sector. The very lovely Lord of the Isles Dean Single 3031 class or Achilles class, built between 1891 and 1899. We see her with a short train of mixed 4 and 6 wheel Great Western vintage coaches by Hattons. Doesn't this look absolutely beautiful? My dad would have loved to have seen this train. Lottie, as we knew her, short for Lord of the Isles, was his, but we used to run her way back when together. Look how lovely this classic triangle machine still runs. There were 50 of the real locos produced. They were real flyers in their day, but were all gone by 1915, and it's a real crime that none survived. Now we come to the second Peckett locomotive by Hornby, this time number 882, Nikolaus. Nikolaus was built in 1902. She was originally built for Willans and Robinson, a pioneering firm based in Queensferry, Deeside, Wales. They specialised in manufacturing water tube boilers and high quality steels, even operating their own foundry. Their work was particularly important for naval engineering, but unfortunately not everything went according to plan. Bringing in the supplies for Nikolaus to shunt is London North Western Coal Tank 1054, because despite being in Wales again, this area was served by the London North Western Railway. Although the coal tanks had been intended for goods work, they were used widely on all manner of duties from the outset and appeared all over the London North Western system. No fewer than 42 sheds had an allocation at one time or another, with the largest number at one time being 49 at Abergavenny in the 1920s. The class was to become synonymous with South Wales, where they gave sterling service on both passenger and freight on the former Merthyr Tregair and Abergavenny route, which had steep gradients and winding routes. Back to 882 and the Queensferry factory. You're seeing Google Maps showing where it was located. The Nicola spoiler, after which 882 was named, was an engineering gamble and was produced on licence from France. An incredibly complex water tube design requiring high-grade steel. It was intended for naval ships, but the project turned into a disaster. Only 26 boilers were ever completed at Queensferry before production was abandoned in 1906. The steel furnaces and iron foundry remained in use a little longer, until most staff were discharged by October 1908. For a time it seemed that number 882 was doomed, with reports suggesting it had been scrapped in 1908. However, new records reveal that by November of that year it was actually put up for sale, and in October 1909 it had been found a new home with Steel, Peach and Tozer Limited in Rotherham. Steel, Peach and Tozer Limited operated a large fleet of industrial locomotives, so we can only hope that number 882 served them well. One thing is certain, she was given a second chance, lasting far longer than she might have done otherwise. There is a great photographic website showing this steelworks that I'll put a link to in this video's description box. Do check it out and you'll get an idea of just how hard these industrial engines had to work. That's it for now. Stay tuned for the next episode, and as ever, I'd love to hear your comments and suggestions or observations. Cheers for now.